Hi, this is Mike, WB4HUC, and today I want to talk about how easy it is to configure a software CW key or keyboard, whatever you might have, to the Elecraft K4 so that you can send CW from your software. So if you've ever connected a radio to your computer in order to send CW from the computer, you may have, depending on what radio it was, you may have had to buy or build a parallel printer port cable or a serial port cable that could do that. And it usually involves a transistor and maybe some other parts to build a little circuit to enable the software to key the radio through the serial port. Well, not with the K4. With the K4, you can just tell the radio that you want to you want to do CW keying through a serial port, and then tell your software you want to do CW keying through that same serial port, and it's pretty much just about that easy. So you have three serial ports on the K4. One is a physical connector. It's a 9-pin connector, and I use that one for rig control. So you can see here we're on 28.028.250, and the software knows that that's where we are. And it's because I have an ordinary serial cable connected between the 9-pin port on the radio and a 9-pin serial port on my computer. I don't use USB to serial adapters. When I bought my current computer 3 or 4 years ago, I actually went out. Nowadays computers don't come with serial or parallel ports in them, so I actually had to buy a separate card to plug into the computer that gave me four actual 9-pin serial ports. So I'm using serial port 3 on my computer uh, for computer control of the radio, for logging and for right now probably just for logging, but could be used for whatever software needs to control the radio. And then there's several USB connectors on the radio. So when you plug a USB cable between the computer and the radio, that also gives you two USB serial ports. So, and it's one of those that I use for CW keying. So there's three things basically you have to do to enable software keying of the radio for CW. So the first thing is you need to know what serial ports uh, have been created through that USB connection, and we can find that out by going to Control Panel and then uh, the Device Manager, which will bring up this window, and then we go to Ports, COM, and LPT. And I have a lot of virtual serial ports for various things, but and then here are the 2, 3, 4, and 5. Those are the four physical 9-pin serial ports on my computer, and then these are the two USB serial ports that come into existence when you plug that USB cable between the K4 and the radio. And on my computer, they're COM10 and COM11. On your computer, they probably could be something else. But anyway, you have to identify which ones they are. And then the second step is to go into the radio and set up the port that you want to use. So there are three, as I said. The first one is this physical 9-pin port that's on the back of the radio. And as you can see, I have the baud rate set, but I don't use the DTR or RTS lines for anything in particular. Then the next one is serial USB-C PC1, that's COM port 10, and then there's PC2, which is COM port 11 on my computer. Baud rate doesn't matter. We're not actually sending serial data across that uh, serial connection. We're just activating the DTR line to send CW. In the DTR line, you have several choices. You have none, CW, PTT, and FSK. And of course, I'm using it for CW. RTS line can also be configured. I have it set to none, but you can choose CW, PTT, none, CW, or PTT. Well, I have it set to none because on COM port 10, I'm not using the RTS line for anything. So once you set this up, and again, baud rate doesn't matter, just set whichever line you're going to use for CW to CW in the radio. And then you have to set your software up. So here is my software keyer within Logic. There's Compose, Live Keyboard, and Setup. So there's no baud rate here, but there is the COM port number. And again, we're using COM10. And then are you using DTR or RTS? Well, I'm using DTR. And that's basically it. Um, this here just shows you uh, how the software sees the COM ports and what they might be used for. And I have a lot of virtual serial ports. But here you can see COM3 is Elecraft K3, K4. That's the computer control port, or as it's commonly called, the CAT port. And then COM4 and COM5 are used for something else, and so is COM2. COM2 is connected to my Elecraft KAT500 tuner. COM5 is connected to the KPA500 amplifier, and COM4 is connected to my watt meter. So this display is from the watt meter connected to COM4. This display is connected to the amplifier connected to COM5, and this display is connected to the tuner on COM2. So there you go. So if we go back to the software keyer, we should be ready to go. So here, I can type something in and hit the transmit key, and it'll transmit. Here, it starts transmitting as soon as I start typing. It doesn't wait for me to hit the enter key or push a button on the software. And then, of course, here's the setup. But I also have several macros set up here. So if we just do this one, if I just click here, hopefully you'll hear the side tone. And you can see the radio changed to show what it shows when you're in transmit mode. Hopefully you saw the watt meter activate. We are on the dummy load. I have 3 antenna connections on the K4. Antenna 1 goes to the tuner, and as we can see here, the tuner, we're set to antenna 1, that's my wire antenna, and then antenna 2 in the radio is my MFJ loop antenna, and then antenna 3 is the dummy load, so we're on the dummy load. And I can just send a call sign. And I can type, as I said, if I do this here, it didn't send anything yet. I have to press the transmit button here. See the watt meter, see the radio. And then with live keyboard, it's not going to wait for me to press any other key. As soon as I start typing, it starts sending. So there you go. And if I go back to setup, and if I change this to RTS, it shouldn't work. So if I go back and do this again, we don't key the radio. You don't see this, you don't see this, because we didn't choose the control line that the radio thinks is the CW control line. So here we go back and click that one, and now we're back. You can see that we're transmitting. So that's it. I just wanted to show how easy this was. Uh, easy the K4 is, that is, to set it up for software keying for CW, and digital modes are the same. I use COM11 for digital mode. So in WSJTX, I tell WSJTX to use COM11 and to use the RTS line for push to talk. And then I go into the radio and tell the radio to use COM11 for PTT on the RTS line. I say RTS line in WSJTX. So RTS line is for push to talk on COM11, and then CW is the DTR line on COM10. And as long as I set my software up the same way, it should all work. So there you go. Just a short little video to show how easy this is to do with the K4. And I guess that's about it. So once again, thank you for watching.